Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to Are You Hearing This? Today's episode is just going to be me. I had a guest lined up, and I kept canceling, and now he's going on tour in Europe, and so we're going to wait for him to come back before we do that interview. But in the time being, I wanted to do an episode that's kind of covering my guitars. So I'm just going to go one by one with each guitar and kind of just tell you about it, what I like about it, how I got it, what inspires me, that type of stuff, and go from there. So I'll start off with this guitar here. This is a Breedlove acoustic Dreadnought, all mahogany. It's a mahogany guitar. My wife got this for me about 12 years ago as a Christmas gift. Best Christmas gift ever. Love this guitar. This guitar is a songwriting machine. Every time this thing's in my hands, I write something new. It's amazing. It's acoustic electric. It has volume. You can adjust the highs and the lows. It's got a tuner. And what's nice about this is it sounds good plugged in or mic'd up. I typically do both when I record this. It's got an input here, or an output right here. It does require a 9-volt battery, but that seems to last forever. I think I've changed it twice in my 12 years of owning it. And yeah, let me play it around and see what it sounds like. All right, for my next guitar, this is my Gibson Les Paul Custom. Just kidding, it's actually a studio, but I did customize it. I did modify it quite a bit. I did put the Bixby on here, and I did replace the knobs with some stereo hi-fi knobs. I thought they looked really cool on this guitar. And of course, I replaced the pickups here. So I actually modeled this guitar based off of Neil Young's Old Black Les Paul Deluxe, which he painted black and then replaced the P90 in the bridge position with a Firebird pickup. So he had a Firebird pickup here and a P90 here. And since this is a Les Paul Studio, these are full-size humbucker routes. So Lawler pickups up in Seattle, they make pickups. They make full-size humbucker pickups that are designed after the Firebird pickup and a P90 pickup. So they're larger size, but they sound like Firebird and P90. This one's called the Lawler The Bird pickup, and this one's Lawler's Novel 90 pickup, and they sound incredible, especially the Firebird pickup. I love a Firebird pickup. But yeah, this guitar is great. It was my first American-made guitar, and yeah, this one, I write a lot of good songs on here, including the song I just released, Absent Love. Check it out on the streaming services, links down below. So let's check out the how it sounds. I'm going to start with the P90 pickup, the Novel 90 in the neck position. All right, now I'm going to switch down into the bridge pickup, which is the Firebird pickup, the Bird. So yeah, a couple other things that I did on this guitar was I actually took this into Moe's, and Lawler also sells wiring harnesses. And for you that don't know, these Gibson Studios, they leave the factory with a circuit board in the control cavity here, which some would say affects the tone. I just thought it was cheap, so I got rid of it, and I got the Lawler wiring harnesses. They're all hand wired, and I had Moe's guitars take out the PCB, the circuit board, and then put in all hand wired components. So I thought that would go better with these pickups. You know, just an all Lawler electronics inside of this. So I'm happy. It's a very, very good guitar. It's heavy, a little heavier than I'd wish it was, but nonetheless, it's a great guitar. I don't play it very long. If I were to have it on, if I were to play it at a show, it'd be too heavy for me. It'd give me some back pain, so I would be for a couple songs only, and then I'd play a lighter guitar for the majority of the show. So more guitars to come. All right, for my next guitar, this is my Fender. This is my Fender Jazzmaster. It's the American Pro 2 model, which is a modern Jazzmaster. But to keep on trend with my Les Paul, I did modify this guitar quite a bit. I replaced the pickups. The pickups that comes with this guitar stock are just noisy. And this being my first Jazzmaster guitar, I didn't realize that Jazzmaster guitars are just super noisy. When you're not playing it, there's just a lot of buzz. And it's because these are single coil pickups. These pickups are, they don't have the hum canceling that humbuckers have. So yeah, very noisy. And because they're giant, the pickups are huge compared to a Strat style single coil pickup. It's a giant antenna is essentially what this is. When I first got this guitar, I plugged it into my amp through a fuzz pedal, and I was literally picking up a radio station, because that's what these are. These are essentially antennas. And when you run it through a fuzz pedal, it's essentially a amplifier, you know, what radios use to amplify radio signals. So yeah, it just was picking up a Spanish-speaking radio station, which I thought was hilarious. But anyway, I replaced the pickups with these Seymour Duncan. They're the vintage silencers, and yeah, it is completely silent when I'm not touching the guitar, but the guitar is plugged into the amp, which I thought when I first installed these, I thought I didn't wire it correctly because it was so quiet. I'm not used to a guitar being this quiet. But yeah, they use a 3-coil system in here, where there's 2 coils which act as the noise canceling humbucker, and there's the primary coil in the center, which is what picks up the guitar string sounds and sends it to the amplifier. I did wire this so that if I push this tone knob, if I push it out like this, it actually removes the noise canceling coils from the pickup, so it's just the single coil in the center. So I thought it was cool to have that option, and I'm glad Seymour Duncan provided that option as well. It's nice to have options. And then also the standard Jazzmaster, if you're looking at the vintage spec ones, when you flip the switch up, it goes into what they call the rhythm circuit, which removes these 2 pots, potentiometers, from the circuit, and removes this switch from the circuit, and it just uses this volume and this tone knob here. But with this model, I actually really liked what Fender did with the American Pro 2 series, where it just takes these 2 pickups here and then runs them through each other. So they call it a series circuit. So it first goes here into this one and then straight out the output to the amp. And I thought it gave it such a really cool sound. It gives it very, to me, to my ears, it sounds a lot like what Black Keys would use with Dan's fuzz guitar sound. It just sounds really muddy and dirty, and I really like it. But going back, the Fender's original circuit, it would just use this pickup with these control knobs here for a more jazzy rhythm tone, nice and warm. But again, I like the modern design where it uses both pickups here in series and just really dirty, nasty sound. I'm into that. So anyway, here's what this guitar sounds like. I'm gonna first start with the neck pickup here on the standard circuit down here. All right, so now I'm going to play the same pickup, but I'm going to split the coil so it removes the noise-canceling hum coils. So yeah, it gives it a more vintage sound. It's not as hot, it's a lot quieter, which can be useful in some situations, I'm sure. Now let's hear the bridge pickup. This is the full pickup with all the coils enabled. And then we're going to do the coil split here. All right. Now let's see the rhythm circuit, or the series circuit I call it. So when this is enabled, this switch, which switches between the two pickups, doesn't work at all. Either does this volume knob or this tone knob. You use these knobs up here. And when you do this knob here, when you push this switch, it does still coil split these here, so we can see what that sounds like. But yeah, this is a nice guitar. I like it a lot. I picked it up for very cheap. Fender was doing a Memorial Day sale, and it was like 20% off or 15% off, I can't remember. But so yeah, I was doing it, you know, for all their guitars at all their, you know, retailers. So I went to Pitbull Audio down in National City here in San Diego County, and they were honoring that discount, and then Pitbull Audio was also doing an additional 20% off. So I got quite a bit of money off, taking off this guitar, and I really like it. I use this quite a bit at a lot of my shows. I use it for good 8 to 12 songs, I can't remember. But I also like this guitar. I do tune it down half step. It sounds really good tuned down a half step. So I use it for some songs that are tuned down, and I like it a lot. It's a really good guitar. And I like the body shape. I mean, the Jazzmaster body shape is probably the coolest guitar shape, I think. And it's big. It's pretty heavy, but it looks really cool. Oh yeah, I also put a black pickguard. This is actually aluminum. It's got the scratches on it. It looks really cool. And I put Telecaster knobs on it. I thought it looked really cool with the Telecaster knobs on. But yeah, that's my Jazzmaster. All right, for my next guitar, this is probably the guitar I pick up the most out of all my guitars. I like it because it looks cool, the paint is cool, like the TV yellow is amazing. It's light, which is great for when you're in a cover band like I am and you play for 3 hours straight. I like this guitar, it's really nice and light. The only mods I did to this one, if you can call them that, is I did replace the knobs again. I really like the stereo, old school stereo hi-fi knobs. Went with black to match the pickguard. And I put a Bixby on it because I really like to bend the pitch clearly. And it, you know, for the most part, this guitar does stay in tune pretty well. And another thing too is these guitars are famous for what they call neck dive. So when you're wearing a strap and you're not holding the guitar, the neck will always tilt down. So this also acts like a counterweight. So the neck dive isn't too bad when I'm holding the guitar with the guitar strap on. So anyway, this guitar is a rock and roll machine. I freaking love the way it sounds with a little bit of distortion to a lot of distortion. And but it sounds really good clean too. When I plug it into my deluxe reverb, it sounds nice and clean and get some nice jazz tones out of it too. So anyway, let me play. Let me show you what it sounds like. Yeah, this guitar is pretty much stock. The pickups are the standard, what come with these. So this is the Gibson SG 1961 reissue. So back in 1961, Gibson called this a Les Paul. And then they ended up calling it the SG later because Les Paul didn't want his name on it for many different reasons. Some of them are true, some of them are not. Anyway, yeah, this is the 61 Gibson SG, and SG stands for solid guitar because at the time Gibson made a lot of hollow body guitars until they started making the Les Paul, which was all solid body guitar. So then when they couldn't call this guitar a Les Paul anymore, they decided to call it the solid guitar, or the SG for short. So that's what SG stands for. All right, for my next guitar, I have no shame in saying that this is probably my favorite guitar. It is a 1972. Yeah, it's a vintage guitar, and it kind of looks it. There's a lot of finish checking, you know, cracks in the finish. There's a lot of wear on the neck. You can see where the red is gone, and you can see the natural mahogany color. Right there. The binding here, where it's yellow, the lines here, that's supposed to be white, so it's yellow now. That's just, you know, a 50-year-old guitar for you. Same with the tuners. Yeah, these are supposed to be like pearl white, and they're just a nasty yellow, and I love it. Couldn't be happier with it. This is a 1972 Gibson ES-325, not a 335, it's a 325. And what makes it different from the 335 is actually a couple things, but the coolest thing are the pickups. As you know from my Les Paul, I'm a huge fan of the sound of a Firebird pickup. And, you know, you have to have a certain swagger if you're going to play a Firebird guitar, because those things look really, really unique and really cool. But yeah, I don't think I'm deserving of that style of guitar, though I used to have one. But yeah, the Firebird pickups sound amazing to my ears. This guitar specifically, when I first played it at the guitar shop, it really reminded me of a Fender Telecaster, just an old school, really bright and chimey sound. And this one really sounds a lot like that, with the coolness, the fact that it's a hollow body guitar, which, yeah, that's super cool. It's a really big body, super light. You gotta love that about a hollow body guitar, is it's light, easy to play for a few hours. What's cool about this one too is not only the Firebird pickups, but yeah, it's a hollow body. It has one F-hole, which if you look at a 335, there's typically two. There's one right here too. But I don't know what Gibson was doing at the time at the factory, but they decided to remove the second F-hole, or not route one out, and instead make a easy accessible control cavity, which I believe this plastic here, this black plastic, is actually the control cavity cover for a Les Paul. So the Les Paul over there has a similar plastic, but they just put it on top here. So it makes it super easy to fix this guitar, because on most ES guitars, if you want to get to the controls, you have to like fish it out through the F-holes, and you know, a guy like me with, you know, giant sausages for fingers, it's hard to reach in there and get the cables out and stuff like that. You have to use, you know, string, and I think people use fishing wire, you know, fishing string for getting the cables out, which, no, I'd rather take a couple screws out, flop that over, and fix some solder joints if I have to. It's so much easier. Other than that, after purchasing this guitar, I had it refret, because a guitar that's 50 years old, the frets wear down, especially if someone loved it and played it and not just had it sitting on a wall forever. So yeah, this one was definitely loved. So I continue that love, and I refret it. And I had Moe's guitars, I had them fret this with the same fret height, same fret size, the same fret size as my SG, my Gibson SG. So this plays and feels a lot like my Gibson SG now, which is familiar. And like I said earlier, the SG is the guitar I pick up the most. So yeah, no shame, this guitar is my fave right now. Another cool thing too is, because this was built in 1972, this was built at Gibson's factory in Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan, before they moved to Nashville, Tennessee. So really cool to have a guitar that was manufactured in their old plant up in Michigan. So, and yeah, a red color guitar. Like, I don't like a red Strat. I like a red ES style guitar. I think that's super cool, super classy, and not as hot roddy as a Stratocaster would be with a red finish. So anyway, enough talking. I'm gonna show you what it sounds like. You know what? I think I'm going to turn on a little bit of gain. I think that song deserves a little gain. I also changed the reverb from a spring reverb to a plate reverb. I really like the slap-backy sound of it, so let's see what it sounds like now. So, yep, those are my guitars. I do have one other guitar, well, a couple other guitars, but electric guitar. I do have my original, this is actually my first electric guitar, my Fender Stratocaster. It's a made in Mexico from 2004, and I love that guitar. It's a green. I can't remember the color. It's a fancy color for green, and that one's heavily modified. I put Seymour Duncan vintage 50s in it to sound like a original 1950s Stratocaster. I put gold. I put a gold pickguard on it and all gold hardware. So the gold on green is in, you know, some people don't like it. I think it looks so cool. It looks like money, literally, like gold and green, like, you know, dollar bills. And it just looks like a rich guitar, and I love that guitar. Don't play it that much, but when I do play it, I'm like, wow, this thing is really cool. But yeah, it's on loan. I have my friend borrowing it right now, and so she can write some songs and get inspired to play. So yeah, that one's out on loan. Love that guitar. I'll have some pictures for you. But those are my guitars. I also have a bass. I have an acoustic bass and an electric bass. And I have a little Dean parlor guitar that is really fun to play too. I actually installed some high strings on it, which is kind of like if you ever look at a 12-string guitar, it's the higher pitch strings. And they also call it Nashville tuning, so it sounds very twangy and it sounds really cool. But I can't play it because I need to fix the bridge. The weather we've been having, the humidity and the dry, and the humidity and the dry. I've had that guitar for probably 18 years, and the bridge fell off, so I need to re-glue it on. So, but yeah, those are my guitars. Hope you enjoyed this. The interview with my next guest should be coming soon once he returns from his European tour. That's right, he's in Europe. He's in Germany and various other countries in Europe. So once he returns, it's going to be an interesting conversation, and we'll catch up with him when he returns. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next one.